Good morning, y'all, and welcome back to Apron Strings. It's good to be here. It's good to have every one of y'all here with me. I've been gone a couple of weeks and I've had some issues to deal with. So I've had some emails from some of y'all checking on me, so I'm going to tell you what's been going on. One of my legs got real sore and had a couple of places on it that was hot, and right at my knee. Put my hand on it and it was almost as swelled as the inside of my hand. So I decided I looked on the internet and it all pointed to blood clots. So I went to the emergency room. Actually, I went to a minor clinic that my insurance would only cost me $40 to go to. They sent me for imaging. So I went for the imaging and I had to pay $50 on the spot for them to send the results that day. Otherwise it'd be 3 days. And I thought, I got blood clots, I need to know today, so I won't let them get loose and get me. So I did that. Then we called the doctor back at the first place I went to, and he said, oh, she needs to go to ER. I could have bypassed all of that because I went to the emergency room at the hospital in Humble, and they redid everything that the imaging place had done. So I've learned a lesson. Now I'll have to pay $150 to the emergency room. I could have saved that other money. But anyway, it was blood clots in the superficial veins, which scared the far out of me. But they said it wasn't life-threatening. They didn't put me on blood thinners or anything. But I just, because of my concern, you know, I don't know what a little bitty blood clot would do. They didn't seem concerned about it, but I've been taking it easy and not doing a whole lot for a couple of weeks. But I feel good. The swelling's down, the soreness and tenderness is gone. So I'm assuming that they took care of themselves. They could have done that and never formed, and I wouldn't have had so much worry. But anyway, I was really intending on taking the camera out and showing y'all my garden. It's getting so pretty, but it's raining, and I need some rain, so I'm not going to gripe. So I decided that my cake plate's empty, so I thought I'd make a cake today. Now I got a recipe. I'm on some site, I don't know. And a lady that I know said this was her granny's recipe. Well, I don't know which granny it was. I knew one of her grannies. So they live in the hill country. So I'm just going to rename it and call it Hill Country Apple Cake. It sounds good. It's had rave reviews. She took it to a ladies' retreat. Everybody wanted the recipe. So I'm going to make the cake today, and I'm going to have an apple cake under my cake plate. Now y'all know me. I mess around with recipes, so I've added some spices and stuff that's in my favorite apple cake that I've got a video or two making it, the one that has the maraschino cherries in it. So I add some spices that they didn't have in theirs, and mine will be a little bit different, but I'm using that as a base, and we're going to make us an apple cake. Now I don't usually use a bundt pan that's dark because I hadn't had real good luck. And even if I cook it less or turn the temperature down 10 or 15 degrees, sometimes it gets too brown. But I like how pretty it is when you turn it out. So I'm going to try a regular bundt pan today, and we'll see if it's a failure or if it's a success. So let's get over, well, let me get some apples and get them cut up, and then I've got everything else ready to go in the cake. I'm going to need about 2 cups of chopped apple, and I peeled it with my little vegetable peeler. And then I'm going to show y'all if you can see what I'm doing here. Just a minute. Once I get it peeled, instead of worrying with getting a core out, I just kind of go around the core. Not rocket science. Y'all probably do the same thing, but just in case somebody hadn't done it. And then I will chop up. And it says 2 cups or more. So I'm just going to I peeled 2 or 3 apples, and I had one with a spot on it, and I thought, well, I'll just use what don't have a spot on it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using up. Y'all know what I do for my fruit. The other day I was going to buy me a bag of oranges at Kroger. Well, they have an area at our Kroger where they put marked down stuff, and I buy my red potatoes always there because the whole little bag's only 99 cents. Well, I had picked me up a bag of oranges. It was going to be, I think, $5. It only had 8 oranges in it. I got over to the markdown, and I got 3 bags at 99 cents each that had 4 or 5 oranges in each one of them. So that's y'all need to watch for that if you have it at your store. See if they have an area where they discount. It wasn't nothing wrong with them either. Sometimes they'll have a red bell pepper, a green bell pepper, and a squash in one. Or, you know, and when bell peppers are 69 cents a piece, if you can get them like that, that's a whole lot better. So watch for your markdowns because it sure saves you some money. But that's what these apples were. I knew I wanted to make an apple cake, so I just got me a bag of those apples. You have to learn to save where you can. I probably got 3 cups of apples here, but that's okay because it'll just make it more of an apple cake, won't it? My other recipe calls for white raisins. I'm going to look and see if I have any, because I would like to put some raisins in it too. Just make it a fruit, like fruit, I guess, like a fruit cake. These could have been cut a little smaller, but I'm not going to sweat the small stuff. I'm just going to put them in here and we're going to use them. Yep, I got a heap in 2 cups here. I'm going to have to come back and pick the rest of these up in a minute. Let me get the camera moved over to the KitchenAid mixer and we'll get this mixed up and get it baking. It bakes 1 hour at 350, but you need to use your little cake tester and make sure the inside's done. And then when you take your cake out, put it on a rack, a cooling rack, for 5 to 10 minutes before you flip it out, and that way it doesn't tear up as easily when you flip it out. So let me get y'all over there where you can join me at the mixer. Okay, it calls for 2 eggs, so I'm going to go ahead and put my eggs in because this recipe calls for oil instead of butter. I like that because I don't have to remember to lay my butter out. So I'm going to whiz those just a little bit. And I need 2 cups of sugar. And I'm using a 1/2 cup measuring, so I'm going to need 4. Get that mixed a little bit. Then I'm going to add a cup of oil. Get that mixed to where it's all married and in love. Now, I'm going to add my salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon each of soda, nutmeg, cloves, and cinnamon. And I grated my own nutmeg with my little grater, and I loved it. I wish I could smell it. I'm going to scrape it down and make sure it's all off the sides, because when you put something powdery in there, sometimes it don't all go where you want it to. Okay, I'm going to need 2 cups of flour. And there's 1. And there's 2. And I will need 1 teaspoon of my Susan vanilla. And I'd be so glad to use it. Remember, I told y'all that her lid is exactly a teaspoon, so that's great. I'm going to add my apples in. And let the beaters chop them up a little bit. A cup of chopped pecans. Now I'm going to see if I have some white raisins. I'll be right back. I didn't find any white ones, but I have some regular raisins. So I'm going to add a few of them in there if I can get them to open for me. Just because I can. There's some people don't like raisins, and that's your prerogative. Okay, all mixed up. Let me scrape it all off of here good. And we'll get over there and get it in that dark bundt pan and hope and pray it turns out good. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's an apple peel. It peeled it for me, a little piece I left on there. Y'all got a garden going? I didn't plant from seed. I've got some things I'm going to plant from seed, but I wanted a jump start. So I planted, I went and bought some seedlings. So I've got zucchini and yellow squash, acorn squash and butternut squash, and cucumbers. Just trying to think of if there's anything else. This dough is very thick, y'all. Probably be very moist with all these apples in it. I've got serrano peppers, jalapeno peppers, red and green bell peppers. I got me a garden out there. Talked to my son this morning. He lives north of Dallas. He said they were getting a flood, but we hadn't had that, and I hope we don't. I hope we get a little bit, but not a flood. I always plant African blue basil to bring in pollinators, and so you have to buy the plants. You can't grow that from seed. I don't understand all that. But I rooted me some and got it planted, so I've got African blue out there too to take care of my pollinators. Okay, here we go. It's a pretty full pan. I hope it makes it pretty. I'll bring y'all back. I'm going to put it in at 350 for 1 hour, and then we'll come back and see what it looks like and put it on the cake plate. It went off after an hour, so I'm going to test this and see if it's done. Appears to be. Let me get it out and look at it a little better. I think it is. Yeah, I'm going to let it cool, but I'm going to test it just to be sure. Yeah, it's coming out clean. So I'm going to let it cool for about 5 minutes. I'll set my timer, and then I'll put it on the rack to cool a little bit, or I may go ahead and put it on my cake plate and just let it cool on the cake stand. I'll be back just a minute. Okay, y'all, I let it cool for 5 minutes, and it's still very warm. But I took my cake plate and put it on top of the bundt pan and flipped it. And it's beautiful. I'm going to let it cool, and then I'll probably slice a piece and let y'all see. Maybe it's pretty like this in a cake plate. But let me let it cool a little bit more, because I don't ever cut bread or cake or anything when it's real hot. So let's let it cool and then we'll be back. Okay, y'all, it's cooled enough that well, it's still warm, but I cut a piece and I'm going to taste of it. That's very good. Now, if you wanted to, you could have grated the apples, because if you've got bigger pieces, sometimes when you're cutting your cake, it'll make it kind of crumble. But I like the bigger pieces of apple in mine. Wonderful recipe. I'll definitely use it again. And by the way, you could make 2 loaf pans instead of 1 bundt cake. Make it go further or freeze half of it or whatever. A lot of times that's what I do. And I did it when Troy was still here, because we didn't eat that much that quickly. So I can do 2 loaf pans, or you can do 4 of the little miniature loaves and freeze it and pull it out as you need it. Another option is, if you eat it and you think, we're not going to eat all that before it ruins, cut it in slices and seal it, like we press and seal all the way around to keep the air. And you can freeze it for 3 or 4 months. Really longer, but that's what they recommend. Just an option if there's not enough people coming around to eat it all gone, but you want to taste of something sweet, just put it up for later. I appreciate y'all hanging with me. The channel is growing, and I'm so thankful, because I've been absent so much, and I'm headed toward 24,000. I can't wait till I hit the milestone, 25,000 subs. I'm going to try my best to get back to normal. I feel good. The spring is here. I've got the garden. I'll have things that I can show y'all besides cooking, because like I told you, I don't have anybody to eat a lot of times, and it's been really a struggle, because everything I cook is a casserole or big amounts, and there's not enough people here to eat it. I'm trying to cut down some recipes where I can do some more of cooking for 1 or 2, because there's 1 here at this house. I hope y'all are still thinking about buying a little bit of stuff ahead. I'm going to tell you, every time I go to the store, stuff's so stinking high. I'm thankful for what I've got put back. Just, you know, staple stuff, extra flour, extra sugar, stuff like that, because it just keeps going up. So if you have some extra money, instead of buying that hamburger at McDonald's, get you an extra bag of flour or sugar or cornmeal or something you're going to need to cook with. Y'all take care of yourself, plant your garden, grow you some food, know what you're eating and what's in it. And I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to get on with my day. I am fixing to make another video, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. So y'all will recognize that I have the same apron on, but I need, that's what I usually do when I'm cooking. I'll make more than 1 video while I'm cooking. So I have something good coming up. Y'all hang with me. Share my videos with your friends, if you will. Help my channel to grow. I need the finances. I'll cook this and get it uploaded too. I'll see y'all shortly.